All right, good evening once again, and welcome back to class. I trust we've had a good day and a little rest before the commencement of this class. My name is Mr. Eburuche Banito, and I'll be taking us in tonight's class. And for the sake of those who have not been able to join the class, I'll be changing the class topic from Six Sigma to operations and production management. Okay. All right. Please, let's also be reminded that this class is streamed live on YouTube. So in case we miss any part of this class, we can get the other portions from LinkedIn. Okay. Sorry, from YouTube. Right. Okay, so I'm going to share the link for the YouTube of this class. So in case, okay, so I've shared the YouTube link for the class, and I think we can begin. Could there be any question or any issue before we begin? Any issue of concern or question before we begin? Could there be any issue of concern or any question before we begin? All right, thank you so much. So I think I can proceed. So let's quickly look at production and operations management. We will introduce the class today, and then by Friday, we will be completing the class. Production and operations management. Someone could actually ask the question, what concerns health and safety with production and operations management? The truth is, production and operations are where the major tasks and activities that comprise the hazards that we run analysis on come from. So we need to then pay attention to how production is managed, and we also need to pay attention to how operations are managed, so as to ensure that the risks and hazards associated with production and operations are highly minimized, if not eliminated, right? Okay, so having that in mind, we are going to go through production and operations management. Now, let's quickly look at the things we are going to be running through in this class. We're going to be running through production and operations management and overview. We're going to be running through the objectives of production and operations management. We look at forecasting. We look at quality management, looking at the strategic issues. We're going to look at process analysis and design. We'll look at effective product design, supply chain management and capacity planning, facilities planning, materials management and warehouse. We look at inventory management, materials and resource planning, production planning and operational scheduling, process configuration strategies, management of technology, planning, teamwork and job design, project management with respect to planning development strategies. Then we look at change management, and we look at work study and industrial engineering. Okay, please, I would not like us to get carried away with these terms that are being mentioned here. Understanding of these things are quite simple, and I think we can all understand them as we proceed. It's just to pay attention and get to understand them as the explanations go by. So let's start with the overview of production and operations management. But before we go through the overview, let's quickly go through this case study of Wigman's food mats. Sorry, before I proceed, let me confirm that everyone can still hear me loud and clear. Please, if everyone could hear me loud and clear, please, I would like to confirm. Please kindly type 1 in the chat room. If you can hear me loud and clear, please, I would like you to type 1 in the chat room. Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, I would like to confirm with 1 in the chat room. Okay, I'm only seeing just 2 people. Does it mean others are not hearing me? Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, I would like to confirm. All right, thank you so much. So Wigman's Food Mats Incorporated is one of the premier grocery chains in the United States, headquartered in Rochester, New York. Wegmans operates over 70 stores. The company employs over 23,000 people and has annual sales of over 2 billion. Wegmans has a strong reputation for offering its customers high product quality and excellent service through a combination of market research, trial and error, and listening to its customers. Wegmans has evolved into a very successful organization. As superstores, many of the company stores are giant 100,000 square feet superstores, double or triple the size of average supermarkets. A superstore typically employs from 500 to 600 people. Each store is a little different. Among the special features in some stores are a dry cleaning department, a workery, and a salad bar. Some stores feature a market cafe that has different food stations, each devoted to preparing and serving a certain type of food. For example, one station has pizza and other Italian specialties, and another Oriental food. There is also a sandwich bar, a salad bar, and a dessert station. Customers often wander among stations as they decide what to order. In several affluent locations, customers can stop in on their way home from work and choose from a selection of freshly prepared dinner eateries. Some stores have a coffee shop section with tables and chairs where shoppers can enjoy regular or specialty coffees and variety of tempting pastries. As for the produce department, the company prides itself on fresh produce. Produce is replenished as often as 12 times a day. Wegmans offer locally grown produce a season. Wegmans uses a farm-to-market system where some local growers deliver their produce directly to individual stores, bypassing the main warehouse. That reduces the company's inventory holding cost and gets the produce into the store as quickly as possible. For ordering, each department handles its own ordering, although sales records are available from records of items scanned at the checkout. They are not used directly for replenished stocks. Other factors such as pricing, special promotions, local circumstances must all be taken into account. However, for seasonal periods such as holidays, managers often check scanner records to learn what past demand was during a comparable period. The superstores typically receive 1 truckload of orders per day from the main warehouse. During peak periods, a store may receive 2 truckloads from the main warehouse. The short lead time greatly reduce the length of the time an item might be out of stock, unless the main warehouse is also out of stock. The company exercises strict control over suppliers, insisting on product quality and on-time deliveries. For employees, the company recognizes the value of good employees. It typically invests an average of $130 to train each new employee. In addition to learning about stores operation, new employees learn the importance of good customer service and how to provide it. For quality and customer satisfaction are utmost in the minds of Wegmans management and its employees. Managers are responsible for checking and maintaining products and service quality in their department. Moreover, employees are encouraged to report problems to their managers. If a customer is dissatisfied with an item and returns it or even a portion of the item, the customer is offered a choice of a replacement or refund. If the item is a Wegmans brand food, it is then sent to the test kitchen to determine the cause of the problem. If the cause can be determined, corrective action is taken. So, what was the primary thing which was noticed in the customers in Wegmans market? Yes, they have enjoyed the quality of product and service in all departments of their business. Which factors influence the customers most? Just a moment, please. Okay, so quickly, let's look at the overview of production and operations management. The very essence of any business is to cater needs of customers by providing services and goods, and in process, create value for customers and solve their problems. Production and operations management talks about applying business organization and management concepts in creation of goods and services. So in essence, production and operations management are responsible for the transformation of raw materials to value, which come out in forms of goods or services, which customers buy. Production is a scientific process which involves transformation of raw materials or input into desired products or services by adding economic value. Production can broadly be classified as follows. We have one, production through separation. Then two, we have production through modification. And three, we have production by assembly. So let's look at what each one is trying to say. Please note, our assignment as safety officers in this regard is to find out the possible sources of hazards, possible sources of risks to the production and operations department of any organization, and also to find the best safety approaches and best safety strategies we can use in managing operations and production in our organizations. So quickly, let's look at each of these production classes: production through separation, production through modification, and production by assembly. Let's look at each of them and find out what to say. Production through separation. The desired output is achieved through separation or extraction from raw materials. A classic example of separation or extraction is oil into various fuel products. That's separation. Then we have production through modification. It involves change in chemical and mechanical parameters of the raw material without altering physical attributes of the raw material. Annealing process, heating at high temperatures and then cooling, is an example of production by modification or improvement. Then we have production through assembly. Car production and computer are example of production by assembly. We have labor, capital, raw material all going into as input, and then we'll have a scientific process, and then we'll have an input, we have an output as services or goods. So a good example of assembly could be mechanical productions or most of the goods that go through mechanical productions like cars, computers, motorcycles, and things in that category. Production function and management. Successful organizations have well-defined and efficient line function and support function. Production comes under the category of line function, which directly affects customer experience and thereby future of organization itself. Aim of production function is to add value to product or service, which will create a strong and long-lasting customer relationship or association. Production function can be achieved by healthy and productive association between marketing and production people. Marketing function people are frontline representatives of the company and provide insights to real product needs of the customers. And effective planning and control on production parameters to achieve or create value for customers is called production management. I will go through that again. And effective planning and control on production parameters to achieve or create value for customers is called production management. Operations management. To deliver value for customers in products and services, it is essential for the company to do the following. One, identify the customer needs and convert that into a specific product or service, perhaps number of products required for a specific period of time. Then number two, based on product requirements, do backward working to identify raw material requirements, and then engage internal and external vendors to create supply chain for raw materials and finished goods between vendor through production facility to customers. Now, production and operations management, a high-level comparison which distinct production and operational management can be done on following characteristics. We have output. Production management deals with manufacturing of products like computer, car, etc. While operation management cover both sorry, I'm trying to make sure that this is not covering. Please, I'm still with you. I'm just trying to make sure that the delivery is not affected. So sorry for the break. Okay, so we have output. I don't really know why this is affecting my class. Okay. Sorry about this. Okay, so production operations management vary in output. Okay, there is actually something I need to do on this slide because it's affecting my work. Okay, so I have output. On production, we have customer contact and some other things that are listed there. I'm going to come back to that slide, but for the sake of time, let's just proceed to concept of production. On the concept of production, we'll be looking at what production is. And production, in this case, will be defined as the step-by-step conversion of one form of material into another form through chemical or mechanical process to create or enhance the utility of the product to the user. Production is defined as the step-by-step conversion of one form of material into another form through chemical or mechanical process to create or enhance the utility of the product to the user. Now, by the definition of what we have here as production, it already gives us a clear indication that all of the things around production comprise hazards and risks which could affect the product at the end of the day, which would affect satisfaction that customers derive from the product at the end of the day, which could also endanger the lives of the people working and could also affect the reputation of the organization if not managed well. So production processes on themselves are sources of hazards and they are also sources of risk. So thus production is a value addition process. Yes, we don't have any doubts about the fact that production is a value addition process. And for the fact that it's a value addition process, it requires definite scope, which in the scope themselves, each of the scope content will have some hazard elements which have to be identified and then controlled and mitigation measures put in place to ensure that those activities that are carried out during production and during operations do not end up becoming quite hazardous to the work environment. And also, we should use job hazard analysis, we should use hazard and effect management processes, and we should use risk management processes to ensure that all of those hazards are well identified and then assessed, and then necessary mitigation measures are put in place. All right, so this is what our assignment as safety officers are in the production and operation management processes. Now, quickly, let's look at the schematic production system. Now, if you look at the inputs, we have main, we have materials, we have machines, we have information, and we have capital. Now, if you look at the inputs, they why they are the necessary requirement that we need for production. We could also see from there that each of these inputs have some traits or coming handy as hazards on themselves. From man, we can see hazards as on unsafe acts and unsafe behaviors that could cause hazards. And then from materials, we could see poor quality materials that could also affect the quality of the product at the end of the day. And then from machines, we could see faulty machines as being part of the hazards that could affect the whole production line and thereby impairing the value that needed to be created. Then we could also look at information. Where there is poor information, it also becomes hazard to the production process. Then capital, where there is poor or lack of capital, it could also become source of hazard to the organization. Then we look at the transformation process. When you look at the product design, if it is not well taken care of, there could be the risks of error coming in, which could affect the whole product line at the end of the day. Then we'll have process planning also. Then we'll have production control and maintenance. All of these things have risk elements, have possibilities of risk, possibilities of hazard existing in between the lines that separate these processes, these designs, this planning, and this maintenance and control processes. All right. Then at the end of the day, we'll have the output, which will define exactly what happened between the inputs and the transformation process. So what happened between the inputs and the transformation process can be affected by some sort of hazards and risks. So we, as safety managers, must pay attention in ensuring that the hazards and the prospective hazards and risk are taken care of so as to ensure the quality of the product which we expect at the end of the day. We might not be involved in the production process as first-hand production managers or first-hand production workers, but we are going to be involved as the secondary support to provide the eagle eye supervision to the whole process, to the whole production system, to ensure that the risks and hazards are reduced to as low as reasonably practicable. Then in the whole thing, we are going to have continuous inventory and quality and cost. And if you look at them also, inventory has its own hazards. Quality has its own hazards. Cost has its own hazards, and these hazards could be from the inputs, could be from the transformation process, and could be from the output processes. All right, so we need to have this at the back of our mind. Now let's quickly look at the production system. The production system of an organization is that part which produces products of an organization. It is that activity whereby resources flowing within a defined system are combined and transformed in a controlled manner to add value in accordance with the policies communicated by management. A simplified production system is shown above. That's what we just looked at. So if you look at this definition of what we have here, of what production is all about, it tells you that the whole process, if not controlled, could be hazardous. The whole process, if not well managed, could be filled with risks. And all of these risks could result to death, could result to injuries, could result to lost time, could result to medical treatment cases and all of that. So we then have to pay attention to production processes. Now, if you ever hear things like someone having an accident in a workplace, is either the person was in the production or operations department, and the person did not just have an accident. There were activities that resulted to the accident, or there were unsafe acts that were committed during certain activities that led to those accidents. So we must therefore pay attention to production and operations management as safety managers. Now, what are the characteristics of production system? Production system is an organized activity, so every production system has an objective. The system transforms the various inputs to useful outputs. It does not operate in isolation from the other organization system. There exists a feedback about the activities which is essential to control and improve system performance. So our objective or part of our work as safety officers is to ensure that the objectives of the company's production system is met. All right, the goal for which the production system was set. Our assignment is to ensure that those goals are met without injuries. Those goals are met without lost time. Those goals are met without loss of life, loss of properties. Those goals are met without having poor quality products. All right. So that's essentially what we want to do as safety officers or safety managers in the production and operations department. Now, quickly, classification of production system. We have the continuous production, we have the mass production, we have the batch production, we have the job shop production. Now, this is classification based on production operations volume versus output or product variety. So quickly, let's look at each of them. Okay, so for job shop production are characterized by manufacturing one or few quantity of products designed and produced as per the specification of customers within prefixed time and cost. I will go through that again. Job shop production are characterized by manufacturing one or few quantity of products designed and produced as per the specification of customers within prefixed time and cost. So when you begin to look at custom-made products, you could say they are job shop. So when you go to a tailor to get him or her to fix or to design a cloth for you, that's a job shop approach. When you go to a car dealer and tell him exactly, or car manufacturer and tell him exactly what kind of car he should produce for you, that's a kind of job shop production. And then you could do the same thing for your phones. You could do the same thing for your laptop. Some people just have that attitude of having custom-made products, okay, irrespective of the cost. All right. The distinguishing feature of this is low volume and high variety products. A job shop comprises of general purpose machines arranged into different departments. Each job demands unique technological requirements, demands processing on machines in a certain sequence. Characteristics of job shop production will have high variety of products and low volume, use of general purpose machines and facilities, highly skilled operators who can take up each job as a challenge because of uniqueness, large inventory of machinery, tools, and parts. Then detailed planning is essential for sequencing the requirement of each product's capacities for each work center and other priorities. Now, quickly, what are the advantages and disadvantages of job shop production? Because of because of general purpose machines and facilities variety. Because of general purpose machines and facilities variety, because of general purpose machines and facility, variety of products can be produced. Operators will become more skilled and competent as each job gives them learning opportunities. Full potential of operators can be utilized. Opportunity exists for creative methods and innovative ideas. The disadvantages are higher cost due to frequent setup changes, higher level of inventory at levels and hence higher inventory cost. Production planning is complicated, larger scale requirements also. Now for batch production is defined by American Production and Inventory Control Society as a form of manufacturing in which the job passes through the functional departments in lots or batches, and each lot may have a different routing. It is characterized by the manufacture of limited number of products produced at regular intervals and stocked awaiting sales. The characteristics of batch production are when there is shorter production runs, when plant and machinery are flexible, When plant and machinery setup is used for production of item in a batch and change of setup is required for processing the next batch. When manufacturing lead time and cost are lower as compared to job order production. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Advantages is better utilization of plant and machinery, promotes functional specialization, cost per unit is lower as compared to job order production, lower investment in plant and machinery, flexibility to accommodate and process number of products, then job satisfaction exists for operators. They will have the disadvantages. Materials handling is complex because of irregular and longer flows. Production planning and control is complex. Work in process inventory is higher compared to continuous production. They will have higher setup cost due to frequent changes in setup. Then we have the mass production. Manufacture of discrete parts or assembly using a continuous process are called mass production. This production system is justified by very large volume of production. The machines are arranged in a line or product layout. Product and process standardization exists and all outputs follow the same path. The characteristics are standardization of products and process sequence, dedicated special purpose machine having higher production capacities and output rate, large volume of products, shorter cycle time of production, lower in process inventory, perfectly balanced production lines, flow of materials, components and parts is continuous and without any back tracking, production planning and control is easy, material handling can be completely automatic. For advantages and disadvantages, the advantages are higher rate of production with reduced cycle time, higher capacity utilization due to line balancing, less skilled operators are required, low process inventory, manufacturing cost per unit is low. For disadvantages, breakdown of one machine will stop an entire production line. Line layout needs major change with changes in the product design, high investment in production facilities. The cycle time is determined by the slowest operation. Then we have the last one, which is continuous operation. Continuous control and continuous improvement method. Production facilities are arranged as per the sequence of operations, production operations from the first operations to the finished product. The items are made to flow through the sequence of operations through material handling devices such as conveyors, transfer devices, and so on. Characteristics of the continuous production: we have dedicated plant equipment with zero flexibility. Material handling is fully automated. Process follows a predetermined sequence of operations. Component materials cannot be readily identified with final product. Planning and scheduling is a routine action. Advantages: standardization of product and process sequence, higher rate of production with reduced cycle time, higher capacity utilization due to line balancing. Manpower is not required for material handling as it is completely automatic. Person with limited skills can be used on the production line. Unit cost is lower due to high volume of production. For the disadvantages, we have flexibility to accommodate and process number of products does not exist. Very high investment for setting flow lines. Product differentiation is limited. Now, for the sake of time, I intended this class to be a 1 hour class, and I just have 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. So I am going to be stopping at the introduction to production. Then by the time we come on Friday, we continue with the introduction to operations. And then we'll be rounding up on operations and production management. All right, thank you so much for your time this evening. We'll be calling it a day from here till we'll meet again on Friday.